The Pittsburgh Steelers make roster moves ahead of Week 10 as they face the Green Bay Packers, calling up two guys from the practice squad, including inside linebacker Tariq Carpenter and safety Trenton Thompson. Carpenter told me ahead of Sunday's game that he was expecting to be called up. He said, "Hey, I got my bag in the locker room. That means I'm ready to go, and I've taken the reps and I've prepared to do so." And he feels that this is an audition for him. His goal is to make sure that he could put on a Steelers uniform every Sunday moving forward, and I think it's the right move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There were two options in my head for them to elevate for this game as somewhat of a test run. And honestly, I thought they would have elevated both of them, but they chose to just move one to the active/inactive list. That is Carpenter. Michael Walker would have been my other option, both inside linebackers, both guys that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can consider as eventual signings to the 53-man roster after Cole Holcomb's injury, and guys that I still think are going to be tested and looked at as options to be a permanent spot on the Steelers' active roster for the remainder of the season. But Carpenter gets the first shot. He's been here since early September, a guy who transitioned from safety at Georgia Tech to inside linebacker during the summer while he was with the Green Bay Packers, now makes his NFL debut against the Packers in Week 10. Expect him to play a special teams role. Expect him maybe to get a shot or two on a passing situation just because he is a former safety. But overall, this is a move that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to evaluate and just look at as, hey, we need versatility and we need added depth. And maybe, just maybe, this is a guy that we can move up and say, hey, we found something in an undrafted rookie out of Georgia Tech, another addition to a very, very strong rookie class for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thompson, on the other hand, emerged during the preseason. He signed real late at training camp, had an interception in the preseason debut, preseason opener for the Pittsburgh Steelers, immediately kind of felt like he cemented himself as that practice squad safety for the Steelers, eventually actually beat out Trey Norwood, who at this point was kind of becoming a household name for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans 3 years into the NFL. Thompson gets his first action this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, his second game ever in the NFL, his first coming last year, right around this time with the New York Giants. Thompson's a guy that I think the Steelers are looking for added options behind Keanu Neal and DeMonte KZ at safety, just because Miles Killebrew and Elijah Riley, they're mostly special teams guys, and Thompson plays, the ability, or at least has the ability to play the ball in the air and be a coverage option, and maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for that, especially against a team that is going to most likely try to run the football and then air it out in Jordan Love with a guy like Christian Watson. The Steelers are just added security right now. I don't expect either of these guys to make a super serious impact, but more look at this as an audition to see, hey, do we have options on the practice squad that can fill in for our injured starters in Minkah Fitzpatrick and in Cole Holcomb? Both moves should help the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm excited to see what both of these practice squad guys they've shown a little bit at practice. They've shown that they are capable of all this. They'll get an opportunity to put it on the field here for the Steelers in Week 10. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers are dealing with a bunch of injuries. They have 7 guys listed as either doubtful or questionable, and they called up Ennis Gaines, a safety who has already played three games for them this season. He had to be elevated or signed, to the 53-man roster to be able to play in his 4th game. That's because Darnell Savage is hurt, and Rudy Ford, their other starter, is also questionable, and it's not looking good that he'll be out there. Jair Alexander is doubtful. Quan Walker is doubtful. Kenny Clark is questionable, and 2 offensive line starters are also questionable for this game. The Packers are beat up. They make roster moves as well. Hopefully the Pittsburgh Steelers can take advantage, and their new guys might get some opportunities to shine in a game that their opponent isn't at full strength.